I greet you in Jesus' precious name. It is Wednesday morning, the 14th of June, the year 2023, and this is your friend Angus Buchan with a thought for the day. We go to the book of Romans, chapter 8, and I'm reading verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. That's out of the New King James Version. I want to say to you today that maybe you're going through a rough time and you say, Lord, how can you allow this to happen to me? I'm one of your children. All things work together. All things, not some things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say. Because at the end of the day, the Lord comes through for us every time. Now, you remember George Mueller? He's one of my heroes, the German man that got saved in England and then built the Bristol Children's Homes, where he looked after thousands of children, asked for no money, and God supplied every one of his needs. He said, and I quote, "In 1,000 trials, it is not just 500 of them that work for the good of the believer, but 999 plus one." Okay, coming from a man who went through a lot of trials. God pulled him through every single time. I want to say to you today that we need to press on, because the Lord says that all things that you are going through work together for the good of those who are called by God. One of my heroes is Dr. David Livingstone, who was one of the men that was instrumental in abolishing the horrific slave trade in Africa in the 1800s. Do you know that that man walked from Cape Town right into Central Africa and then walked from there all the way to the west coast of Africa, the Atlantic Ocean? Now, I've driven in a big 20-ton Mercedes-Benz most of that way, and I want to tell you, it is thousands of kilometers that man walked. He went through hardship. He went through bouts of malaria. He hurt himself many times through that bush, which had been uncharted. When he eventually got to Luanda at the coast, a very kind captain of a ship said, "I'm going back to Britain. I will give you a free passage back to Britain." Livingstone was so grateful. He had all his manuscripts with him, and he was excited. But you know what happened? He went down with malaria. Terrible malaria, and he was bedridden, and eventually the ship had to leave without him. He was devastated. I can imagine him saying, "Lord, why have you forsaken me?" But you know what happened? He got a report just a few weeks later that that ship got into a storm and it sank, and everybody on that ship was drowned. Needless to say, he recovered from his malaria, Dr. Livingstone, and eventually got back to the UK to report what was happening. Don't be disappointed if things are going rough for you at the moment. You don't know how God is protecting you for the future. Jesus bless you, and goodbye.